Well, tell me about your journey. How did this book writing process get started for you?
Yes. So honestly, I wasn't even planning to write a book until in 2017 I lost my father, and that same year, actually, I was actually a first-time mom. And it brought a lot of things for me. I think dealing with grief and dealing with a lot of things in your life, it kind of helps you think about perspective, and you just think about a lot of things differently. And for me, that loss brought a lot of childhood trauma that I faced when I was young. And I just became angry. And then so I started
Mhm.
writing. I started like voicing it out. As I mentioned earlier, I mentioned that I was born in Swaziland. So I grew up there until I was 16 before moving to Canada and then to the United States. So I was not close to home to actually confront and really take more action steps to what I was feeling. So I started writing. I started writing all of my feelings, what I was feeling and going through at that time. And I want to say from all of that writing and healing process, I decided to write children books, mostly for my children to inspire them to love who they are. But it was also like a message for me, as I mentioned Ella, right? Like my first book is I Celebrate My Skin. And part of that title and part of the choice of me writing that book was to tell myself that I am beautiful and I'm enough just the way I am. And so it was indeed a way for me to embrace and celebrate who I am and talking about my story in a sense to empower and inspire other children and my kids to really love who they are because that matters and that's important. So that's my the short version of my journey and how I started
I
writing
think
the
that's the
book.
whole thing. Okay. Can you hold the book up again and just put it in front of your face? Like,
Yes.
oh, there you go. Awesome. Okay. And so, um, do you have any children?
I do. I'm a mom of two. I have a 4-year-old. She's turned 4 yesterday. And then I also have a 21-month old.
Okay.
Yes,
So, did that have any influence on your book writing as well?
definitely. Yes, they actually are they are the characters in my book as well. I
Oh,
wanted them to not worry. So for me, 20 years later, right, that's when I realized that whatever I faced when I was young affected me. And also, even though you don't know why and how things affect you, you do think differently. You do perceive yourself in a very different way. And so when I wrote this book, I definitely had them in mind because I want them from an early age to embrace who they are, to love who they are, and to celebrate themselves just the way they are. So, like, this is a message for them as well, so that they don't have to worry and spend 20 years trying to figure out and, understand who they are. For them to know who they are, to know that they're important just the way they are. And I think when we start doing that at an early age for any kid, it does build them so much more. When they go out to be their own in college and school, right? They have that knowledge of who they are against the world, and they embrace that. They carry that, and I believe they are more successful in that way. Yeah.
okay. So, do you have any affirmations in the book?
I make actually the book for me is affirmations. Like, so my son, when we go to school every morning, when you're in the car, I'm dropping him off, I tell him he is beautiful just the way it is. So the book is about celebrating your skin. And I start the book by saying, I celebrate my skin. It is beautiful just the way it is. And then I end the book at the end of the title. I say, my skin is beautiful just the way it is. It is who I am. And so when we talk about that, and it's like that's an affirmation on its own. We just talk about I celebrate my skin, I celebrate myself, and I am beautiful just the way I am.
Okay, okay. So, when did you publish the book?
I published it last year in November. So it's a fairly new book. It's not even 4 months now, 5 months.
Okay. Did you
Yes,
self-publish it?
I did. It's a self-published book.
So,
Yes.
what was that process like?
It was a lot of learning experiences. A lot about me. I'm more driven by emotions. In some things, I'm a doer. I just get things done. If I feel like I want to just do something, I just do it. Even though I read this book, I read actually so many other books that I'm working on publishing next year. Maybe one later this year. I'm still deciding. So I did not prepare much as I would like to prepare. Like I just seriously launched my website like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of things backwards. I did a lot of review. It was a lot of process, I think, a lot of learning for me because I did a lot of just looking to see what I need to do. I did a lot of edits and I was learning as I was editing the book what I need to do. I was just learning as I was going through the process, but I told myself, even though I wrote it like, with everything that was going on over the summer, I definitely wanted to have my book published in 2020. So I just went ahead and just edited everything, did the illustrations, and I just pushed it out. So it was a lot of work. I mean, it
Yeah.
was a lot of learning opportunity. I'm still learning,
Okay.
and but I think I met a lot of good, amazing people in the
Wow.
process, and so it was a lot of networking, a lot of connections, and overall, it was a good experience, which is why I'm doing it again with more
Okay.
experience now, with a little bit of more seasoned experience. But the first one was definitely a lot to learn. I think I made a few mistakes, like, of course, launching a website after you publish a book.
Yes.
So those sort of things that I've made, and I'm learning from them, and I'm getting better in the process as well. So overall, I think it was a good experience.
Okay. Who did your illustrations?
Mary Kay Biswas, I found her on Upwork. She's in India.
Okay.
And I liked it because she does a lot of um, one. Of course, I was on a budget, and I think it was reasonable. But also, like, I wanted to really I initially started finding somebody from my country, but because we don't really publish books, nobody was, and I'm not there physically to get like the prints and then push it through. It was just gonna be hard for me to work with somebody back home. So I funded up somebody in India because I wanted somebody who understands like different cultures, who like have like different similar to my country, somebody who like relate to my message why I'm because my illustrations actually I they're seriously like all of them are pictures from my childhood, either like a safari from home or like the river we learned to swim at. It was just different things. And so I
Okay.
wanted somebody who could relate in the different way of life that we have, like going to fetch water, learning to swim in a river, and just the different things that in some in the Western culture, that's unheard of, right? People don't go miles to find water, but that was our way of life when we grew up. So I wanted somebody who could relate and really be able to drive that message in illustrations for my book.
Oh, that is
Yeah,
awesome. That's awesome.
thank
Um,
you.
so you ended up doing Amazon Kindle,
I
uploading to
did.
that. Okay.
Yes, and I just recently did Ingram's Parks, which
Okay.
again, another mistake, right? I wanted to do that first, but I just literally did that like maybe 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
So yeah, so now it's available in all bookstores globally because it's already through Ingram's. Yes.
Okay. Well, KDP has that also, right? Global
For ebooks, yes. But for
or
the
ebook.
prints, yes, for the prints, I had to go through Ingram so that I have those available as well for
Yeah.
ordering. Yeah.
Well, Amazon also has the mass distribution. I guess it's like 30%, 40% or whatever. You just check a little button and you can do mass distribution as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
I need to look more into
Yes.
that. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
good. Thank you for
definitely.
sharing. Yes.
Yes, it's absolutely it's there. You
Yeah.
there's a little bitty button that you check though, and
Yeah.
it'll show you all the places. Because I
Oh.
went online once and I was like, oh, I'm in Walmart. Yeah. So yes, and I'm only through Amazon, and I
Oh,
only
that's
upload
good
it
to
through Amazon.
know.
hmm
Yeah, that's good to know. I will
So
definitely check it
yeah,
out.
absolutely.
Okay.
Well, so what was it like when you got that book in your hand?
It was, it was surreal. It still makes me cry. Like when I see kids reading my book, and I just see like the reviews. I see people talking about my book. it's a moment. Honestly, I can't explain it, but
Yeah,
it's so
magical.
rewarding, so fulfilling. It's magical, yes.
Yes,
It's
yes.
everything, and I just yeah, I'm grateful for it, honestly, and yeah, it's amazing.
Can you hold it up and flip through the
Yeah,
pages for me?
definitely.
Can you flip
So
through the pages?
yes, actually, I have like this bookmark that I just
Oh,
created that comes with the
ah,
book. So
oh,
like this
it's
is
so
the first
colorful.
cover. Yeah,
Oh,
it's very
yeah.
bright. The first page,
Oh,
like it's very
wow.
simple. This is like a one of the game reserve that I used to go to, but of course I'm looking at sprinklers because our life was just, we usually played with whatever we had. We created our own dolls. Our life
Right.
was just like very simple, and I want to depict all of that. Waterfalls, the rivers,
Oh, wow.
streams.
Beautiful.
That's where we mostly played, like we learn how to swim, of course safaris.
Yeah.
Um, that's like,
Oh, it's gorgeous. I
yeah,
love it.
thank you. And then
Oh,
like
it's
this,
something to be so proud of.
thank you. And then these purple
Mm.
trees are very common at home. They're like called jacarandas. And I want to diverse people, like diverse kids in there. And so it's just really different cultures, different religions, different everything. And all of everything is outside in the book.
Right. How
Yeah, because
long did it take her to illustrate to
it
be?
was, yeah, the color, because I wanted the drawing for the skin tones to be vivid, right? Like, because we are celebrating our skin
Yes.
tones. And so that did take a lot because she was like, I've never done so many realistic, pictures before. So
Yes.
that did take a while for sure. But I truly appreciate, yeah, being just, like taking the vision, like the colors, the skin tones, the diversity, like the keys, it's just like really
Oh,
like all beautiful.
oh,
Like it
yes.
was just amazing how thoughtful and how colorful everything was. I
Yes.
think that she was able to drive that message across for sure. I think
Oh,
sometimes
absolutely. Look at that. Oh,
sometimes
I
she
love that.
she would say, "Oh, this is interesting." She was like, like, so I just wanted it to be very
Wow.
vivid and very colorful.
Hmm.
So I do
That's a
have
nice size, huh? What size is that? Like
it's an
an
8 by
8
10.
an
Yeah.
8 by 10? Oh, it looks larger than an 8 by 10.
Yeah, and then I do have like activities in the end to really like to have kids. I just actually posted on my Instagram post. I had an emergency travel across to Missouri to like visit my sister, and we put the activities to test. My daughter was engaged for over 40 minutes, just
Oh,
coloring and doing and like looking at the pictures and everything, and it was amazing. Like that's all she did for more than half of
so
that
that's the
flight.
activity. That's the activity
Activities
portion.
in the back. She just started with activities. Of course, she started drawing on the plane and stuff like that. But she was
Yeah.
just like engaged in like coloring every page and looking at it. And I want to say
Let me see the backside, the activity part. I saw the rainbow.
there's a rainbow, there's a coloring rainbow, and then there's also like a skin tone. There's a skin tone
Yes.
matching
What
game.
what was that? The
It's a
skin
skin
tone
tone.
matching?
Yeah, it's a skin tone matching game. And so like kids can look at it. There's a wet bank in here, and
Uh-huh.
then they can look to see like what color their skin are. Like, mine I think is like a little bit copper. So they can kind of just match their skins. And then
Okay.
there's like some things that they can say here, like my skin tone is brown or whatever
Oh,
color. I celebrate and love it, And then they
yeah.
can point to it, like, kids who cannot say, they can just point to it and say after you. So like you can do different things. Like when I
Right.
first got this book with my son, I'll tell him, so what color skin are your friends? And then he'd be like,
Right.
oh yeah, Bella is this color. My
You
other
know you're gonna
friend is
have
this
to send me a
color.
copy. You're gonna have to send me a copy of the book. Autographed copy of the book. Oh
Definitely.
gosh, that is awesome. I love that. I love that.
Thank
I
you,
was
thank
just
you.
thinking of, especially when kids first start school, they have different friends and that subject matter just comes up. And
Mhm.
yeah, that is awesome. I love
Yeah,
that. I love
thank you
that. That's
so
a great
much.
job. Great, great job.
Thank
So,
you.
is there anything that you can share with the audience? I know you talked about some of the mistakes you feel like you made, but what are
Mhm.
some do's and don'ts when you're self-publishing?
Definitely some do's. Do your research. That's the first thing. But the second thing is collaborate. I did not do much collaboration in the beginning. I am now just doing a lot of collaboration.
Mhm.
Definitely collaborate. Find some author groups on Facebook, on Instagram. If you're in Clubhouse, make sure you find those groups as well because you're gonna learn a lot of information. And the
Yeah.
biggest thing is, have a marketing plan, have a sales strategy, have a marketing plan because honestly, writing the book is the easy part. Selling the book is the harder part. And you don't know that until you actually push publish and you think, oh, there's a lot of work that I have to do. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I think those are the big do's. Make sure like you know and you have a plan. There's so many strategies that I've learned in the, even just recently, like how you can become an Amazon bestseller with your ebooks, right? Doing the work ahead of time, pre-orders and spreading the word ahead of time so that you have a lot of people buying your book just on the day of launch is big because even if it's for 5 minutes, even if it's for 10 minutes, when you become an Amazon bestseller, you can use it for marketing across, right? So that's a big thing. And then the big dance is if you can have a website ahead of time so that you can actually sell pre-sell your books on your website. I think that also helps with publishing and when you start navigating your sales, everything, right? You can have your mailing list, you can just grow better if you have your website ahead of time. So that's a big one. Some other don'ts is, or some other do, edits. Make sure you do your edits. Editing is very
Yeah.
important. You want to make sure that your book is finalized. And I actually, for my first book, I had to give away a lot of books because my last stage, I was using a different printer because I wanted to have them in hardcover. And so I used a different printer and there was different formattings. And I was trying different printers all over the world. And I think my graphic designer, as she was trying to change some of the specifications, I didn't notice that she actually used a word filler on the page. And so I had like 100 copies printed with an error. And so I had to like fix that and then have them fix it ahead of time. So like just avoiding those little things and but at the end of the day, have fun with it. One of the
Yes.
editors I met said something like she's published like 10 or 20 books, a lot of books. And she said even after her 20th book, she also still finds mistakes in her printing. So I
Yeah.
mean, be kind to yourself, be gentle. It's a huge
Yes.
process. It's a lot of learning that happens. And so be kind to yourself and take it easy, I think. Don't be too stressed out about the process. Of course, do your reviews, do your editing, but at the end of the day, it's a learning process, good or bad.
Yes.
So have fun with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can attest to that. And I know it's going to be a hit. Did you have a launch?
I had a soft launch, which was just a mini live. I did it myself, and again, there's another opportunity, right? Using a launch is very good. This summer, I do have a few events, which I think that will just commemorate as my launch. And of course, I'm working on a couple of books. One I want to do before the end of this year. I'm already having edited them, already thinking about the illustrations. And so I will have a bigger launch for those books, and I will, of course, include my first book as well because it's a series. It's a celebration series.
Okay.
So the first one, of course, is celebrating my skin. The second one is celebrating something else, and then the other one is
Okay.
celebrating more things. So
Okay.
yes, I will have a launch for the next books for sure.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
awesome. 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 I know that initially when you first get started, you just want to get it out there, get those words onto that page and have it
Mhm.
be tangible in your hand so you can feel it and rock it, it's like
Yes.
this
Yes.
is my book.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Nunku, I have enjoyed you today, and I welcome you to come back
Yeah.
and just share with us your journeys on your next book, or
Mhm.
how things are going when you start really heavily marketing your book. And
Yes.
so we can get your book on Amazon
On my
and waiting for
website.
your website. Oh, do you have a website?
I do have a website now. My website is Nonku's Corner. So
Um,
Nonku, SCORNER.com. So
oh,
my
okay.
website is
Not
up,
too
and there's more
far.
information about myself and a lot of
Oh,
things really. I love my website. Actually, I have a lot of freebies too. I have a
okay.
section for freebies that I started for teachers, for people to download extra activity pages for the book if they're having an activity. So I have that going on. I do have a teaching guide coming up soon
Okay.
to use with my book. So that's going to be available for downloading as well on my website. And I am going to be doing a lot of community services in the near future. I do have a few book donations that I'm actually finishing up one next month, this month actually, for Casa Academy in Phoenix. I'm donating
Okay.
40 books to them for their library. And
Okay.
so I have a section, I'm going to have a section on my website just to highlight the donations and the community services that I'm doing as well. Because for me, I grew up in Africa and I honestly didn't own a book until I was
Wow.
ever, right? And
Right.
so I want to have a lot of kids to own and have books that will help them, one, see themselves in the books, but also embrace who they are, love who they are. Doesn't matter where you come from. I think I always say everybody has a story, and starting to believe in that story, I think it does make a big difference in how your future becomes. So
Yes.
there's a lot of stuff on my website, so I hope you can check it out too, and have a lot of people check it out, and yeah, that'll be great.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate your time. And
Thank
we
you.
will just say goodbye for now.
Goodbye, and thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
You're so welcome.